Okay, so this is going to be my video reflection of how my final project went, and we'll start off with, well, I think my successes and failures were, and I think a big success for me was that I got the program working and everything runs pretty smoothly. Like, there's no way you could break it, I don't think. There's no way you can cause an index error or value error that won't be unchecked, so despite all the moving parts, it still is just able to run perfectly. And then my biggest failure, I think, is that I wasn't able to include the translation of so I wanted a big part of my project was going to be including local news stories, and that involved using a translation API. But because I used my initial API or my initial JSON file that I used didn't include the language code of the country that the city was located in, I wasn't able to include that, and I even considered hard coding into an actual creating my own JSON file with the language code just to make it work. So I would consider that my biggest failure. I think I was pretty ambitious with this program, and I'm happy with how it turned out though. What I needed to change and why. So a big thing I needed to change from the start was the drop-down menu. Initially, I was just going to include a input, and you just input the city you want to see about, and then it would just spit out all the data like that. But then I realized that wouldn't be the whole program. Point of this program was to explore places around the world. So you're not gonna just input a place just that you think of. Like, you need to see a map you need to see a drop-down with what regions are in this country, what cities are in that region, and it would make you feel more creative in your selection. And then what I would do differently next time was I would choose a different API for or a different JSON file for the initial big all the cities in the world sort of JSON file, because the one I chose was a compromise. The one I wanted to choose was you needed an API key and you needed to email a guy, and they didn't get back to me until yesterday, so I wasn't gonna change my whole project around to revolve around that new JSON file. But that did include everything I wanted in it, but I think I was able to make it work with that. So maybe if I were to do it again, I would spend a little extra time to code in that new JSON file and change up everything. Like I said, that's also what I would improve on. If I had more time, I would use that different JSON file. And then maybe even create a different JSON file with the language codes and everything I wanted, because that would be kind of something useful to know too, how to make JSON files. And then what did I learn from this experience? I think I learned a lot from this experience. I feel like I've grown in terms of coding in Python more from this project than I have from the whole class. Like, it was just pure problem solving on something that I cared about, and that was a really great feeling, especially when you have a problem with your project and you're able to, after hours of research, you're able to get it done. It was a great feeling, and I think I've grown a lot from this project in terms of my coding ability. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I was very ambitious from the start, so I understood that there's going to be some shortfalls, but that's how projects should go. You should be ambitious, and what's the expression? Shoot for the stars, and if you don't make it, you'll still end up with the moon or whatever it is. So thank you. Have a good break.